Hello, my dear friends. Here is my microphone. Please let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. Write down below and help me to check it. I really hope it goes well. As soon as I have a good internet connection. Very good. I see you already started asking some questions and sharing where you are from. Nice, nice. I see people from Kiev. And yes, I see your questions. That's excellent. I see your compliments. Thank you for that. Oh, I see Camila joined us. Good evening, Camila. Camila is a very talented artist. I recommend you very much to visit her Instagram. There you will see her beautiful paintings. You will fall in love with them like I did. I love you very much, Camila. And I also recommend you to see her works. Hello, dear Valia. Hello, dear. Hello, my dear friends. I see all of you. I will answer your questions later. Now I would like to speak about our today's topic. I know you've been waiting for this webinar because topic of today's webinar is sense of guilt. I know very well that many of my clients are burdened by this feeling, and most of those who were mentally abused in childhood by their parents for sure have this sense of guilt inside. I guess you can see me better like this, yes? Let me change my position. I just hope that my camera is focused. Okay. Good evening, my dear friends. Good evening. Write down below where are you from, how are you today, how do you feel today. Share your feelings with us and share why are you interested in this topic of sense of guilt. Do you have it in your life? Share your story, but please try to tell it in a short way. And especially, I will be very happy to see your questions. I see Kiev, I see Kharkiv, very good. Somebody asks if this webinar will be on my Instagram. Actually no, but you should follow me there because here on my YouTube channel you will see all of my webinars. And on Instagram every day I post stories where I talk about different questions which you may find very useful, and I make short videos there, and of course there you will read my articles. Follow me. You will find a lot of useful advices, things you should think about more, and in general I really like Instagram, where you can get this positive energy every morning, because I personally try to always give you positive energy to make you feel more active during the day, to get you courage. Every morning, firstly, I work on myself to get up and cheer up, and then I share my energy with you on my stories. You will find a link on my Instagram below, so I very recommend you to follow me there. So, so, oh, I see people from St. Petersburg. Very glad to see you with me today. I see Nadia, who participated in my course, and it already feels like we are relatives in some kind, even though we never seen each other in person. It feels very good, and I'm very glad to see you. So, what is sense of guilt? Let's see together and figure out. Sense of guilt is this feeling when wait, let me see. It looks like I'm out of stream. Yes, looks like I'm out of streaming. Friends, if you can see me, please let me know if you hear me and see correctly or not. I see. The answer is no, which means that you can see me, but only I have problems. Okay, we should continue. Sense of guilt is a feeling that was created by society. So it wasn't created by us for survival, as for example, fear, which is an instinct that and was created to run from danger and get safe. Anger was also created for survival, to kill our enemy, to win, to defend ourselves, for hunting, for example. And actually, more about it, I will talk in my webinar about emotions, where I will talk more deeply about each feeling and emotion. I'm already very excited to do it, so don't forget to follow me here on YouTube to see it. But let's get back and take feeling of disgust. For example, you ate something wrong and this feeling helps you to, let's say, give it back. So we have feelings for safety, and also we have another feelings which is not as old as fear, anger, and etc. So feeling of guilt and shame is feelings which was created by society. But why? For what? Let's look at it anthropologically. Human is a social animal. So while we were developing, we needed to coexist somehow to survive. And we could survive only by being together. And we all have faced it during our lives, and we all know that fear of public speaking is one of the strongest fears that we usually have. But why is it? According to statistical surveys, fear of death takes first place, and on the second place is fear of public speaking. Having fear of death on the first place is understandable, but right after we have exactly fear of public speaking. Why do you think? Imagine this. When you live in a tribe and go to the center to speak something for everybody, if they don't like it, they could expel you from the tribe or even kill because of your bad speech. So for us humans, being rejected and expelled is one of the most fearful things, almost the same as fear of death. And right there we have our sense of guilt. Why do we have it? If we look in this history, in two words we will see that we have sense of guilt to not get punished by other people for something that we did. So we show that we can punish ourselves. Now let's look at it from the point where this feeling is socially created for survival, as it looks from the first sight. But why should it be formed and created in today's world by a kid? Why? If we will look how guilt is formed in a kid, we will always see this phrase: you did something wrong, you are bad. Without this feeling, nurture and life in society is impossible. But we also have a very fine line between law-abiding, conscience, and guilt. Conscience and law-abidance is understandable. We have laws and we have to know them. We also have some moral laws. For those who believe in God, we have 10 commandments. And by the way, I think they are perfect to follow to live in society. For example, don't kill, don't lie, don't judge, and don't steal. All of them are pretty good. If you don't agree with them, write down in the comments and let's discuss it, because it's an interesting topic. I'm personally not a believer, but I think it's a good thing, even though I can't agree with everything there. But anyway, let's get back to our main topic. What is conscience? Conscience is our inner voice, our inner point of view when we've done something, so we think about ourselves mostly as about good and kind person, and when we have done something bad, we will get pangs of conscience. So in general, conscience is action-oriented thoughts which make us draw conclusions to not act like this next time. For example, when we do something bad to someone and realize we feel even worse after it, and then we realize we won't act like this no more in the future, so then we go and ask for forgiveness and feel release after.
Украл у тебя ручку, возвращаю, ну прости меня. И сразу станет легче, посмотрите. Так вот, что такое вина? И, пожалуйста, не путайте с
So, what is guilt? Please, I want you to remember that guilt we talk about has nothing to compare with criminality or when people are truly guilty by law or because they've done something truly bad. We're not talking about that guilt. Share your story in the comments. Maybe you've done something bad and write your story, write if you feel guilt and for what. Maybe you've killed somebody, yeah, as if somebody would really tell it right now. Or maybe you've robbed somebody and did something really bad. For example, when I hear my clients say, I feel guilty about my mother, I start to ask, why? Did you wish her harm? No. And I ask these questions to every client who works with sense of guilt. Have you done something bad to your mother, for example? Something bad on purpose? No. Then what are you guilty of? Why are you guilty? What is your guilt about? And I see how much people we have today. So this topic must be very important for you.
Присущи для человека, который виновен в чем-то, смотрите, который кается и хочет исправить, но уже не может. Пути обратного нет. Посмотрите, что предлагает нам законодательство. Я как юрист с десятилетним
Let's go further and see how guilt is formed. So this feeling is inherent in a person who is guilty of something, who repents, who wants to change things but no longer can. And actually, I will tell you as a lawyer with 10 years of experience that I will tell you that presumption of innocence says that you are not guilty until proven guilty. And proven is the main word here. At first, person is being suspected. I am now talking by Ukrainian legislation. Just 3 minutes of talking about laws as soon as we are talking about guilt, because I think it's important and must be said. So, think about it. The person who might be guilty of doing something first is being suspected. And only when prosecutor has needed amount of proofs, which also contains witnesses and everything else, then this case is taken to court. So there must be the necessary evidence base for the case to be taken to court. Even if you got caught at the crime scene with an axe in your hands, for example, this process will still be carried out. Because nobody knows, maybe the criminal jumped out of the window and threw an axe into your hands and you are standing there not knowing what's going on. So first comes the investigation, and only then in the court, with the participation of a lawyer, judge, if your guilt will be proven in 3 instances. Only in this case you can be called guilty.
Первая инстанция, апелляция, кассация. Только в этом случае вас могут назвать виноватым, то есть преступником. Или виноватым, если это какой-то вы вы нарушили там хозяйственное законодательство, еще что. Короче, ответчиком, да, вы будете. Короче, о чем это я? О том,
So, even if the person is really caught at the scene of the crime and his guilt and involvement is obvious, even in this case, all the procedure must be done. So I always ask my clients, dear, why are you immediately saying you are guilty? Why do you immediately declare that you are guilty? So the ruins in Greece was ruined by you too?
почему ты сразу заявляешь, это я виноват, все. И вот те руины в Греции тоже я развалила. Тоби плохой, все. Так вот, чувство вины, оно предполагает наказание.
So guilt implies punishment. And sometimes I see how people keep breaking their legs, arms, and etc. And when they come to me on therapy, they want to work with motivation to do something in their life, to get motivated. And then when they start acting, when they get motivated, they want to change something, they start to break their legs, arms for some reason, get health problems, and then we see that behind all of this is their sense of guilt because they think that they have no choice and no right to be truly happy when somebody else have problems, when somebody has no food, relatives have problems, and etc. So this sense of guilt is completely artificial. So it provides for redemption. It provides for redemption. It's these people who give alms endlessly, who can't say no, who can't refuse to borrow money to their friends, even if it's their last money. And it always amazes me when people tell me stories when their friends needed money, a huge amount of money, they wanted like $5,000, and they asked them to borrow it and they couldn't say no. So they borrowed this money from other friends to borrow this money to these friends. Why was they doing it? Because of feeling of guilt. Because they think, how will I live knowing I didn't grant my friend's request? How will I live if I have a little more than others? What else? Person with sense of guilt feels like a criminal, feel rejected, feel guilty, in fault. Guilty person feels unworthy of attention, feels like they must be punished and exiled, exterminated, beaten, they can be humiliated, yelled at. They allow others to violate their boundaries. They allow themselves to not get paid for work. And now I want you to pay your attention when you watch movies. Let's take movie Seven Lives, where Will Smith has main role. His character hit 7 people with a car due to his negligence on the road, and these people died. So this is guilt, and he feels guilty. He is a criminal and he was legally punished. And then he decided to give back these 7 lives. And to do this, he started to give away his organs. And that's what sense of guilt can make people do. There will be spoilers, of course, but I think everybody watched this movie because it really is good. And it describes sense of guilt awesomely, because guilt destroys you inside. This character denies himself everything. He dedicates his whole body and soul to his victimness. So we see that guilty person with sense of guilt is a victim.
Душу посвящает жертвенности. Так вот, виноватый человек с чувством вины – это жертва сразу. Сразу, дорогие мои. Человек виноватый – это жертва. Сейчас вот там про политиков вы пишете, про
I see you are commenting about politicians, about people who achieve big things in life, but I'm going to say that if you are dealing with sense of guilt, you are not going to achieve anything big. I am just being honest with you. Somebody writes in the comments, last Monday you allowed to walk out our negative qualities. And look how they said it, that I allowed them to do that. I see how they even create this sentence. And then they write that the same day after it, they lost big amounts of money. Oh my dear, I'm so sorry for you. And the next they said that they think this was their punishment for being bad. And actually, that is the moment. Look at the politicians, rich people. Well, not all of them, but mostly they are socially adapted sociopaths. And of course, not always they harm people. Sometimes they even do good things for us. For example, surgeons who save lives or military people. And actually, military professions where you're supposed to kill people, of course, they will have sociopathy. They kill people, for example, bad people, criminals, and this way they walk out their psychopathic need, and at the same time, they kill. So these people don't have sense of guilt; they just don't feel it, and they have this incredible freedom. And generally, we all live in an illusion. Everything is an illusion. People feel jealousness. Your brain created this problem of being envied, so you fear it. You fear having big amounts of money, as if people around you will harm you for that. And I say, look at famous people. If they would be envied as much as you think they would already be dead. And this is what makes these people who fear big money think about it more.
Если бы это было так, говорит клиент, ну действительно, может ей защиты ставят? Вот, мы верим в
We
то,
believe in what our brain makes us believe. And then we see it everywhere in life because we create it and we see it. Because we create our reality by our brain and mind. We choose it. We choose it in life.
мы это в жизни выбираем. Так вот,
So,
чувство вины
sense of guilt implies punishment. Truly, how is it being
как оно
formed?
формируется, хочу рассказать. Например,
Let's take an example manipulations. Hysterical mom who loves to blame and reproach. It creates a permanent sense of guilt. Whatever this kid would do, everything will be wrong. Even if this kid will do something goodly, she will find something bad about it and start blaming him. You could do it this way. Why didn't you do this? Their kids do these things. Why don't you do it? And these notations create such sense of guilt in kids, especially when we all know that kids can't defend themselves.
человек просто, ну он ребенок, он не может от этого защититься. Вы понимаете, родители, они все, блядь, плохо в точку. Ну а как тут скажешь? Меня некоторые особо ранимые товарищи обвиняют. Ну зачем вы мужчину?
I see somebody is mad because I use swear words in Russian. But how can you explain something without using words that describe it perfectly? When somebody is a bitch, how can you describe her differently? When this word describes exactly what it means, when somebody is such an unprincipled and has no empathy, or otherwise, without these words, you will describe this person by saying these long explanations like this person had sociopathic personality traits, when just one word can say it all and everyone will understand it. I use these words for comfort. If somebody doesn't like it, then
Там вообще, то есть там
do
даже
something with yourself or just leave because I can't be liked by everyone. I am not
это
perfect.
так и есть. Поэтому это очень
Okay,
понятно.
let's continue and please continue to write your questions. We have a little more time today, so don't be afraid and write your stories and questions in the comments, but shortly. For sure, I will answer some of your questions and give you an advice.
Посмотрите, дальше поехали. Я сейчас буду, вы пишите свои вопросы, пишите, 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 пишите. У нас сегодня чуть-чуть есть больше времени, я обязательно буду стараться на все ответить, пишите. Только, пожалуйста, коротко, лаконично. Так, для чего чувство вины формируют родители?
So, why is sense of guilt formed by parents? For manipulation, because it's easy. Because look, every time a kid does something wrong, for example, breaks a cup or he didn't clean or didn't do homework, anything, mom has to always spend her time and resource to explain, to be patient, to be calm, to teach this kid. And it's hard to do because it takes a lot of patience, of course. So when she comes from work and wants everything to be done quickly, and then she sees that dishes are not done, homework is not done, and a cup is broken, of course it's easier for her to build sense of guilt inside her kid and then use it for her own comfort. And she might not even realize what she does. She just starts to scream at the kid. And these bright flashes of aggression with accusations grow this sense of guilt in a child who can't defend himself, of course, because he has no other experience, has no other reality to see how different things can be, especially when other family members do not pay attention to it and don't react.
Не замечают, отворачиваются, уходят. Когда два родителя стоят, вот некоторые психологи говорят.
Sometimes I hear from other psychologists that when both of parents must have some opinion and position, so if they scolding the child, they must do it both. And I personally can't agree with it because generally scolding is bad. There's just no sense in it. Punishments and restrictions are needed, yes, but it's supposed to be learning by it. Like, look, you've done bad, see, you will no longer have this for a few days, and see, if you will do like that to people, they will do the same to you. So parents explain to kid what consequences he will have due to his behavior. But of course, it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. And it's way easier to just scream and intimidate him. So child will have this fear and next time will just refuse to do this. But also this child will blame and punish himself for it. Because generally kids can't stand sense of guilt. It's very hard for them. When I hear stories from my clients and we explore their childhood to see reasons of them having this sense of guilt, all of them usually cry about it because it's very painful. Kids are supposed to share their hard feelings with parents who give them support because it's very hard for kids to carry such feelings. So parents must defend them from feeling guilty, scared, and ashamed, especially shame. We cannot blame and shame kids, it's inappropriate. Parents are responsible for their kids, not vice versa. And usually, how it happens? Parents see their child as their property. I actually recommend you to read book Foundations of Psychohistory by Lloyd DeMoss. You will actually see that now kids are treated way better than it used to be in history. Because during old times, kids and children wasn't seen as valued and important people. Only grown-up people were valued. So they could just get rid of kids by killing them or selling them. on markets, and it was a normal practice during Middle Ages and in ancient Rome and Greece, when they would just give away kids or would pay for something by kids. For example, if some poor family has debts, they could just pay for it by giving their little daughter away. So now this situation is way better. And if you have interest in this book, to know this history, I recommend you it very much. So let's again look why parents let kids have this sense of guilt, especially mothers who treat kids like that. It's because this mother just simply can't do the same with her friends, her colleagues on work. She can't act like that with all of them. So she's throwing all of it on her kid, because that's where she feels powerful. She knows she can't compete with others in real life, so she starts to humiliate her child. Oh, look at you. Why do you look like that? Ew. What is this on you? Oh, you're such a pity. So the child begins to make excuses. Mom, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, and etc., etc., etc. And even the intonation is always the same. When I ask my clients what did they hear from their mothers, intonation is always the same, because in this case, when mother blames her kid, she feels so big and strong, because of course she can do dishes, she can look good, she is so smart and so much bigger than her little poor kid who can't even defend himself.
Может же чашку помыть. Ну, естественно. Естественно. Вот так. Я видела такие сцены, когда на детской площадке ребенок обкакался, а мама приходит и говорит: Господи, вот ему там, не знаю, полгода, а он лежит, обосрался бедный, она ему: Господи,
I saw scenes when the child crapped one's pants on playground, and this kid was like 6 months from birth. What could you ever expect from a 6-month kid? To wash himself? So the mother comes to her kid and says, "Oh, you're such a problem. Look at you." And I wanted to just come and ask her, wait, looks like I'm not in streaming. Do you see me? Is it okay? Let me know if you see me or not in the comments. I see it's okay now. Okay. So, what was she expecting from such little kid? She comes to him and says, "Look, you did it again. You're such a simpleton. Look at you, such a shame. Now I need to wash you again. Oh my God." And she looks at him so disgusted. And what is this, do you think? It's self-affirmation. So when mom looks at her child with disgust, with reproach and accusation, this child will feel guilty and worthless and unwanted. Because especially when your own mom does this to you, it's very hard to believe in yourself after. Because everything is connected to our parents, especially to our mothers. I will be honest with you, because those who were lucky with their mothers are truly blessed. It's blessing to just be loved by your mom. It's true happiness.
Твой родной человек делает. Вы понимаете, мы с нашими родителями связаны с матерью, мы связаны как-то вообще. Вот я скажу вам честно, кому повезло с матерью, я не знаю.
See your comments. Thanks very much. I love you too. Thanks so much. So these kids know what love is. They know and understand how to love themselves. When I was only starting my journey in psychology, I was telling to my friends, "Oh, my therapist told me how to love myself. We were doing some exercises to defend our boundaries." And when I told them what boundaries, that it's the things that are allowed to be done to you and not, they were looking at me like I was crazy. because they were raised in healthy families and they were loved by their parents, and was shocked how could you not know what can be done to you and what not. And they were asking me what things are we doing on our trainings and suspecting them to just raise money from us because for them it was insane. Because that's how mentally healthy person thinks. It's insane for this person to not know what can be done with you and what cannot. It's insane for them to feel guilt. It's insane for them to live with abuser. And they truly don't understand why are we having this sense of guilt if we didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes I even feel jealous to these people. But we have to remember that anything can be changed. Everything can be changed, and we have to remember that we are not supposed to be such cool moms. We just have to love our children. I will tell you one thing. Sometimes I see when a client is a child of an alcoholic, and I ask them, did their mom love them? How did she behave? And I'm always expecting them, of course, to say these horror stories, but they answer me, yes, she did. She loved them very much, and they felt her love. Yeah, she used to drink a lot, but she was so loving. Even when she was drunk and came home drunk, she was always hugging them. So in this case, even these grown-up kids know that they were loved. So we don't have to be perfect moms. You see, can alcoholic mom love her child? We would usually say no, but yes. And at the same time, successful business lady can't, because love is the biggest spiritual resource. And I love to see how people finally open up in therapy, because people are not stupid, people are very smart, they are conscious, and they can find this love inside by themselves, and they can understand and say many things about themselves and realize things by themselves. And it's way better than when a therapist explains them things about them, but when they found it out personally. It just happens when they see they're interested in, when therapist simply gives them attention and asks them how do they feel, what do they think, why do they have such feelings. Because people with sense of guilt usually can't even answer this question because they were never allowed to show their feelings. So when they feel freedom and feel interested in them, they start to open up and explore themselves and find new things, new interesting things about themselves, which is very, very good. Also, I have to admit that sense of guilt can be formed in a kid when he sees an example, when he sees it in his parents who are victims and pleasers, or for example, this kid once showed sense of guilt to his parents and got praised. So after it, he starts to show this sense more oftenly so he doesn't get punished by parents. So it becomes kind of survival thing. He thinks, if I will punish myself, I will not get punished by others. And truly, parents are okay with that. Also, it often happens that a child witnesses violence. Wait a minute, I see somebody comments I'm telling nonsense. Then just unfollow my channel and don't write things like that, because other people come here to get benefits and you are taking their place. Anyways, so when we receive positive reinforcement to some of our actions, for example, when dog gives paw and gets treat in response, it remembers it and continues to repeat after. And that's what happens with our brain. Guilt is formed reflexively. For example, when we were able to defend ourselves by our sense of guilt from our parents or etc., as I hear from my clients' stories how they saw parents fighting, and immediately started to cry and try to defend because they thought it was their fault. And when parents saw that, they would calm down.
Начинала говорить, плакать, я считала, что я виновата, и родители успокаивались, переключались на меня и успокаивались. То есть ребенок был таким громоотводом, да? Да не буду банить,
I don't
потому
have
что
time
хочу,
to
чтобы
ban
это
people
время
who write
тратилось на
these
мои
bad
там
things to me. I just don't want to waste time on them.
там 2-3 минуты, а я
And I
лучше
see you ask me how to find me on Instagram. I will just put a link down below so you can find me there.
выложу внизу
Click on this
или
link and you will find me on
пароль в
Instagram.
Инстаграме. Ищем, находим. Все просто. И внизу будет ссылочка на Инстаграм. Да, чувство вины за свою успешность. Перехожу к вашим вопросам. Перехожу к вопросам и будем
And now let's go to your questions.
Как же от него избавиться?
Somebody writes, over 2 years ago, I felt guilt towards my girlfriend. Her mom didn't respect her at all and made us broke up by her manipulations. And now I'm asking myself, why did I felt this guilt?
Сейчас думаю, зачем себя виновата?
Yeah,
Да,
actually I
да,
understand it can happen as well.
Больше года
I feel guilt for my mom for over a year. She is sick and I live in other city. I understand that if I come back to her, I will just sacrifice my life.
когда надо закрыто
My
упасть,
dear,
когда надо
this is a situation when you have to take care of someone and sacrifice yourself.
многие
For example, here in Ukraine we have war
места,
and many of grandparents just refused to go and live even if their city was bombed. And what which will you do with that? Will you stay with them because they don't want to leave? We were born to live, and you have to realize this. We were born to live and to express ourselves. And please hear me now. We can help our parents, but we can't save them. Look truth in the eyes. How will you help your mother? By sitting near her, being depressed, having no personal life, and being extremely sad. Do you think she will feel better from it? You can help her by doing everything you can, by giving her money, giving advice, but don't give her your life and your personality because your own happy life must be on the first place. Remember it.
каким-то советом, все, ну не в ущерб своей личности, своей семье, потому что это должно быть на первом месте. Вот так вот. Так. Месяц назад ушла от мужа, звонит, пишет, приезжает, плачет, просит прощения. И опять чувствую вину, что ушла. И так 13
Months
лет.
ago, I left my husband.
Устала,
He texts me, calls me, and comes to me, cries and asks for forgiveness, and I feel guilt for leaving him again and again, and it goes on for 13 years. Every 2 months, regularly, he comes back. I am tired but afraid to come back to him. Well, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Actually, how to get rid of guilt? I will give you homework for this week, especially for those who have done last week's homework when you had to walk out your negative traits and to be bad. So this week, let's go further and to see results. Because in my consultations, on my courses and trainings, we always have exercises. When you want to learn how to dance, if you just watch a movie and read a book about it and watch some concert, it won't be enough. You won't learn how to dance from it. And this channel is for those who want to change. Last time, one woman said that every webinar she has less and less questions because she worked on herself. So it means that person feels better just because she was watching webinars and doing homeworks. Her reality was changing.
Нет, дорогие мои, не научились, дорогие мои любимые, этот канал для тех, кто хочет меняться. Вот одна девушка в прошлый раз написала, что у нее уже вопросов все меньше и меньше с каждым вебинаром. Вот она поправилась. ей лучше. Понимаете? Вот
You will learn how to dance only when you will learn movements, will go to classes and will start to practice and to dance and repeat it many times. Then in some moment you will see how easy it is for you to dance and how you like it. That's what I mean. The same is with driving a car. If you just see a video about it and talk about it to somebody, you will never be able to actually drive it. That's why my therapy is effective, because we always change our behavior and acting. Of course, not everybody is ready from the beginning. It's totally normal. Someone is ready from the first time, another one needs some time to get ready for changes, because it's truly a big work.
самое с вождением машин. Ну, посмотрите фильм про вождение машин. Ну, посмотрите вебинар. Давайте порассуждаем про вождение машин. Уж никогда ее не заведете, если вы не будете делать. Поэтому моя психотерапия, ту, которую я даю своим клиентам, потому эффективна, потому что мы всегда меняем поведение. Кому-то раньше, кому-то позже. Кто-то не все сразу готовы. Это правда. У каждого своя психика. И здесь точно. У каждого свой есть ресурс. Кто-то сразу в бой, так сказать. Кому-то необходима какая-то времена проживания. Здесь, правда, такая тонкая работа. Действительно, ему нужно время для проживания.
If you want to change your reality, you should change your acting. So, your homework for this week will be to try to live without feeling of guilt this week. Try to get your advocate inside. And yes, my therapy, my psychotherapy is effective because I understand the point of it. Because you can go on therapy for 3 years and have no result. I mean, there always will be the result, but it will be way smaller than you could expect if you will refuse to change your behavior. So let's work on it and change it by small little steps, one by one, day by day. And follow my Instagram, because every morning I give you little tips and steps to do during the day.
Цель там денег заработать, а вы ничего не делаете. Ну не будет, ну нет, дорогие мои. Поэтому меняем поведение маленькими шажочками. Один в день. Вот подпишитесь на Инстаграм. Я утром даю какие-то шаги, прямо шаги. И люди, которым заходит так, что со звуком у нас? Что со звуком? Напишите, дорогие.
What's with sound? Is it okay? Seems like yes. Okay, so about our homework for this week. Let's get an inner advocate, and every time we will feel guilt, he will ask us these questions. Did I have the intent to intentionally harm this person? Intentional harm. And next question is, what is my specific fault? Do I have proofs? Because if you really had intent, ask yourself these questions. At the moment when you were doing this, what goal did you have? What were your motives?
Человек виноват, ты приходишь и говоришь ему там, ты виноват, ты там убил Билла. Все. Человек говорит, да, я согласна, я убила Билла, все. Вот так вот. А если был умысел, то тогда сформулируйте вопрос по-другому. Скажите, пожалуйста, в тот момент, когда вы это делали, зачем, с какой целью вы это делали, что вами руководило, какие мотивы? Может быть, вы так испугались, знаете, бывают такие ситуации там, мы часто...
Sometimes we have such situations when we get so scared that we start to defend ourselves and sting. So if you really have guilt, then explore why. What was behind your acting? What was the reason of it? It could be also something from your shadow side, and that's where you have to understand that you are not an angel, because we are not innocent, we are not angels.
И второе, когда вы кому-то наносите
And the second thing is that you have to understand that harming somebody
я про психологический вред.
has two sides.
Физическое насилие, если
I mean mental harm, not physical, of course, only mental harming.
вы кого-то оскорбляете,
If you insult somebody and this person reacts to this, then probably it just means that this person is very vulnerable and you became too aggressive. And if I would work in therapy with the first person and the second, of course we would find understandable reasons of such acting and such reacting. And getting back to the story of husband who keeps coming every 2 months, I'm suggesting you to try to live without your husband for 6 months. Because there is such thing as neuroplasticity. You are always in your victim state, and 2 months is too little.
2 месяца слишком
And it goes on for 13 years. You got used to it. I'm sorry, but it's true. You just got used to this. So you need at least 6 months of isolation from him, and then you will see.
Так, как отличить
Next question is how to see the difference between painful reaction of feeling guilty from healthy reaction.
И второй вопрос.
The answer is ask yourself if you deliberately wished harm to this person. And the second question to yourself is, did I cause specific harm to this person, or is it just my imagination?
У преступника нет чувства
Could sense of guilt be a way of manipulation?
безнаказанности.
Of course, because it is.
Более таинственности.
Criminals don't have sense of guilt. Absolutely right. They don't have this feeling but have feeling of impunity. They have illusions and self-will complex. They just think they won't get punished.
Своеволие. Он думает, что он очень такой великий.
I cheated on my ex-husband and feel guilt for it. Well, it needs to be explored. You know how it can be when woman lived with one husband her whole life and never cheated on him, and then one day she did. So probably something happened that made her do it. And why do you think people prove their guilt or innocence in court? Because we need facts to tell the truth. If a woman killed her man, but before that he beat and abused her, is this self-defense? It was her only chance to stay alive, because if she wouldn't kill him, he would do that to her. And she was acquitted. So I don't know what happened in your situation and what was the reason for you cheating. You need to deeply explore what was true meaning and reason for you to cheat on him. And the second one, what's the point of feeling guilt now? If you did it years ago, you probably already apologized for it or probably compensated your guilt somehow. So what's the reason of feeling it now? It's totally useless. Totally useless. Look, when you feel remorse, you go and compensate it. You feel responsibility, you compensate it. If you did bad, your inner judge will tell you about it. And what you do with it? This judge tells you to go and do good for 10 people to compensate, or to go and ask for forgiveness, for example.
Я не ангел, им действительно могла плохо сделать. Ну все, ну что нам с этим делать внутри? Ну что нам с этим? Ну давай пошли 10 человекам хорошо сделаем. Давай? Давай. Все. Или пойдем к этому человеку прощения попросим. Да, вы ж не королевишна, не королевишна. Мы пойдем попросим, Явка с повинной, прости меня, вот сделала тебе пакость. Очень жаль. Вы знаете, один раз просила у одной девушки прощения.
I remember I used it to beg forgiveness from a girl because I commented her situation in a very straight and strict way. So she even started to cry and I felt sorry for my words. I just felt bad. So when we've seen each other next time,
совестно.
I told her, I am sorry and I am apologizing for what I said because I shouldn't act like that.
Понимаешь?
And she replied to me that she appreciates it, but at that moment, thanks to my words, she realized something that she couldn't see by herself.
У меня так
And she
глаза,
told me I opened her eyes by my words.
прям глаза.
At first, she was a little offended, but then she came to realization.
Сначала
See,
обида была, а потом
that's what also can happen.
действительно даже так. Она говорит, я как-то вот, но она в этом нашла большой ресурс. Видите, может быть и такое. Чувство вины за прокрастинацию. А
I
прокрастинация
feel
это
guilt
страх.
for my procrastination. But procrastination is fear. It's a fear that was built inside.
Помогают, конечно.
I keep reading your comments.
Перед сестрой, не знаю,
I feel guilty about my sister. I don't know how to get in touch with her again. Well, I would advise you to be sincere with her, but if you can count on her sincerity back as well, because usually sincerity helps. Sometimes I have a feeling that I don't do enough for my mom and dad, but then I ask myself if they did enough for me. Yeah, that's healthy boundaries. But still, this feeling of guilt keeps sitting inside of us. And actually, it's very far-fetched. But do you need to serve to your parents your whole life? You should see a difference between savior and helper.
там не сяк, должна была по-другому себя вести. Вот молодец, класс, рада за вас. Евгения прекрасная, это прекрасно. Так, спокойной ночи, Дмитрий. Супер. Стрим потом посмотрите. Шикарно. Мама постоянно мне говорила, что я должен стать богатым, успешным.
My mom always told me that I must become rich and successful, and now I can't get rid of it.
Такое бывает, что
My dear, do you honestly want to be rich and successful by yourself? Usually I see situation when somebody's wife wants them to be successful, or mother or friend, whoever, but then I ask, what do you want personally? And they answer that they just want this simple and calm life. Then go for it. You are not living your life for somebody else, you're living it for you.
от родителей, потому что вы, например, не...
It feels for me like if I will mess up, it will hurt somebody else. What I would say is that you've got it from your parents. For example, when you didn't get a good grade in school, it made your mom really upset. Oh, and you disappointed her. That's what created this sense of guilt in you. So you started thinking that you have to bring this high grade home from school, not for you, but for your mom. When you make yourself learn objects you will never use and you never liked, just because you think otherwise somebody will get upset. And this is a manipulation. You have to understand that people choose their reality and their response and reactions by themselves. So if you did something for yourself and it made somebody upset, it's their problem, not yours. Otherwise, it's called codependence. Actually, soon in May, I will have a course about codependence. You can register it now, and it will be a course about getting out of codependent relationships. There will also be a good practice and a good chance for you to stop suffering because of other feelings. Because how can you be responsible for somebody's feelings?
Точно сейчас скажу, после майских праздничков. Да, 15 мая. 15 мая будет курс по выходу из созависимых отношений. Ну, могу сказать, это классная такая будет профилактика и действительно очень такой мощный шанс и шаг в том, чтобы перестать страдать за чувства других, потому что это про слияние. Ну как вы можете отвечать за то, что другие страдают? Ну это же какая-то прям паутина, слушайте, ну паутина. Я что-то не делаю, а ты страдаешь. Так.
Somebody asks about country's leadership. Don't worry about them. They don't have feeling of a guilt at all, and many other feelings that we have, they don't. Guilt is the main level of manipulations over you. Remember that. Oh, you will go home from work not late? By normal time? Why, if anything isn't done yet? What do you mean you want your salary to be raised? But you did bad last month. When? So you don't remember it? See, it's profitable to manipulate you by sense of guilt. And usually people with this sense of guilt, with fears, also always have this sense of justice, and they always believe that justice will be restored.
Помню, ну да, какая мне зарплата, смерду вонючему, пойду, все. Все, вопрос решен. Ну, конечно, это выгодно, друзья мои. Но у людей вот еще вместе с этими чувствами страха, стыда и вины, у людей есть чувство справедливости, веры в какую-то светлую справедливость. То есть родители еще так, знаете, говорят, что типа вот там все будет окей, там когда-то справедливость восстановится. Так, просыпаясь по ночам, в смысле, что все-таки надо вернуться в родной город и быть с мамой. Ну, конечно, ну вот что делать? Ну стоит как-то подумать объективно. Кому будет легче от того, что вы будете страдать? Маме будет легче. Наймите маме сиделку. Будет легче.
So, my friends, now it's time to end this stream, and I want to invite you on course Black Rhetoric, which will start at 10th of May and will start by 8 p.m. by Kiev. It will be Tuesday. This course is awesome to learn how to defend from speaking manipulations. This course is an addition to another course, Puppeteer Chronicles, so you will have this bright opportunity to learn how to clearly answer on provocative questions. And of course, you should come on my course of Getting Out of Codependence, which also is a great course which contains few parts with exercises and practice.
Вот, надеюсь, это хорошо. Да, дорогие мои. И, конечно же, приходите на курс по выходу из созависимости, потому что это замечательный тоже курс. Он будет построен в несколько этапов, на которых мы будем делать вот именно действиями, мы будем практикой подходить. Уже у кого-то 6 детей. Татьяна, ну это круто вообще. Класс, класс. Пишите, что любите всех. Повезло же детям, класс. Дорогие мои, спасибо вам большое. Я вас очень люблю. Смотрите стрим в записи, кто не смог попасть. Подписывайтесь на канал, подписывайтесь на Инстаграм. Каждое утро я там что-то выкладываю, очень такое, что-то полезное, какие-то полезняшки.
Thank you very much, my dear friends, for staying with me today. Continue to watch my streams. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I post a lot of usefully great things. And also, please, try to live this week without feeling of guilt. And while I'm saying goodbye, write down in the comments what topics are you also interested in, so I will do my next webinars on these topics.
Следующего вебинара, который будет в понедельник. Понедельник, 26 апреля. Вот. Чувство вины – это чувство, которым можно манипулировать. Поэтому помните об этом. Задавайте себе, как полюбить себя, записываю. Задавайте себе вопрос, что сейчас происходит, да? Что сейчас происходит?
Okay, I see your suggestions. How to love yourself. Brilliant. How to stop waiting for approval of others. Good. Flirt. Yes, you asked for this topic. Counterdependence. Good. This is one of the topics we discuss on my course about codependence. Charisma. Nice topic. That's a good suggestion. Aggression is also a nice topic. Super. Come to my webinars where I answer your questions. By the way, every Thursday at 8 p.m. I answer your questions online So if you have some, you should come and ask them.
Вот про гнев тоже классный будет вебинар. Класс. Все, друзья, как выбрать психолога? Друзья, приходите на вебинары, где я отвечаю на вопросы, потому что в этот четверг в 20:00, каждый четверг в 20:00, почти каждый, я отвечаю на ваши вопросы. Как культурно себя отстаивать, это, Анечка, на черную риторику. Это вот как культурно, это про пассивную агрессию тренинг, как культурно себя отстаивать. Все.
Love you, my friends. Take care and love yourself and get yourself an advocate this week. Bye bye.